U.S. airlines and airports prepare for a surge of travelers ahead of Thanksgiving. As vaccination rates have risen, many Americans are traveling for the holidays. For those traveling by car, gas prices are 62% higher than they were at this time last year. That's the highest since 2012. And we sat down with psychiatrist Dr. Jeff Ditzell and therapist Rabbi Shlomo Slatkin for ways to navigate the holiday season. Tune into Deep Dive as we explore these topics and more. Hello and welcome. This is Deep Dive and I'm Tiffany Meier. We're going to switch things up today and hear from two guests about some tips for navigating the holiday season. But before we get into that, some updates. U.S. airlines and airports are bracing for a surge of travelers ahead of Thanksgiving. They are hoping for good weather and smooth flying as millions of Americans visit family and friends for the holiday. TSA expects to screen about 20 million passengers during the busy Thanksgiving travel period, compared with nearly 26 million in 2019. As vaccination rates have risen, many Americans are traveling for the holidays after skipping family gatherings last November and December. Delta Airlines said it expects to fly up to 5.6 million passengers from Friday through November 30th. And United Airlines said it anticipates more than 4.5 million passengers this Thanksgiving weekend. And for those traveling by car, gas prices are 62% higher than they were at this time last year. As of Monday, the average price for a gallon of gas in the U.S. was $3.40. A gallon of gas is also 32% higher than 2 years ago before the pandemic. Prices rose an average of $1.13 last month from the previous October. That's the largest year-over-year increase since gas price record-keeping began in 1990. It is also the most expensive it's been on a Thanksgiving weekend since 2012. And AAA spokesman Andrew Gross weighs in on the high volume of travelers this year.
There's a lot more confidence. People are feeling better about traveling. And no matter what the gas prices are, and they are quite a bit higher than last year, people are still going to take that trip.
And now, the holidays can be a stressful time, with some suffering from anxiety or depression. We sat down with psychiatrist Dr. Jeff Ditzell and therapist Rabbi Shlomo Slatkin to learn of tips for navigating the holiday season. Thank you so much for joining us today. Great to have you on the show.
Oh, great to be here. Thanks.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me here.
So as we're heading into this busy holiday season, a lot of people might be traveling for the first time and experiencing a lot of crowds, which might be new after maybe, say, isolating for a while. So what would be some tips to kind of stem this anxiety in these maybe stressful situations?
Sure, it's a good example. This really the first big holiday for a lot of people, a lot of families coming together after quarantine, the pandemic. Spoke with a client yesterday who having 30 people in the family for the first time, so he was really looking forward to it. But a lot of people also aren't used to being around crowds or traveling. So there's certain things you can do. One, I think, is anticipating the obstacle, meaning you shouldn't really be caught on your back foot with an unexpected anxiety regarding being around people. If you haven't been around people, of course, you're more likely to be a little bit anxious given everything that's gone on. So, be gentle with yourself, but at the same time, expect that you might have this anxiety and anticipate and put some things in place so that you're not caught in a reactive stance and kind of, feel like you're drowning.
Or even, distracting yourself, listening to music, calming music, or something else that can kind of distract you from it. Because if you just think about it and think about the anxiety, then it's going to make you more anxious. So even if you're wearing, a mask, even if you're washing your hands, even if you're trying to keep your distance.
So some reports say ways to stem anxiety include mindfulness, like meditation, or if some people think that's a little too spiritual, just like maybe focusing on breath. So what's your take on that approach?
But it's really a cognitive tool. By minding your breathing, okay, or doing box breathing, which is what the Navy SEALs do, and probably other people do too, you can basically get a hold of your anxiety, get a hold of your emotions, and get into the present moment. Anxiety is essentially forecasting dire events in the future, okay, and depression is basically suffering about things that have happened in the past neither of which is a cognitive state where you are in the present moment and able to focus and engage whatever is in front of you. So by paying attention to your breathing, the magic there that happens, the construct of the breathing allows you to get into the present moment, in the now moment, and therefore you're able to gather your attention, which is lost in anxiety or way back here in depression, put it in the present moment and engage the task in a hopefully skillful way. And that tends to have meaning. It tends to release your neurochemistry, your feel-good neurochemistry, and you actually feel calm and assured.
So the holiday season can be a very trying time for couples. Maybe each side has different expectations, or maybe dealing with family members. So going into this busy holiday season, what are some tips to navigate it?
Everyone has different expectations, and especially if you're going to one person's family versus the other, you can have kind of an annual upset. It's quite common. So one of the things that I recommend is to talk about it beforehand. What are your expectations? What do you need from your spouse? What do you think is going to happen based on the past? And what can you do to better prepare yourself? And a lot of times what happens is when we have these discussions, the couples come back after the holiday and they say, you know, we really had our best holiday ever because we were on the same page. Because when you show a united front to your family, they sense that they can't mess with you. You know, they know that there's less friction, and also you can kind of nip it in the bud before, because when you start seeing something happen, or someone speaking to your spouse a certain way, and you can already step up and take care of it, as opposed to just kind of hypersensitive to the potential issues.
And so for new couples, maybe this is their first time navigating the holiday season together, and they don't really have prior experiences to draw on. So what would be some tips for them?
A lot of times there's that discrepancy that causes the problem, because one person has a certain expectation, an idea of what it's supposed to be like, and the other one had a different version. Let's say one person expected to have like a fancy sit-down meal, and then the other person, everybody just like sitting around the TV watching football, and you go into that situation, it's like, this isn't Thanksgiving, or this isn't whatever, this isn't my holiday, what's going on here? So the more that you can understand the family culture for both people, where they're coming from, what their experience is, what their expectation is, and also gives a little bit of insight into whose ever house they're going to, also gives a little bit of insight into whose ever house they're going to, parents' house or your parents' house, and then you can be prepared for the shock and the disappointment, and to be able to tolerate it better.
And so on the other end, there might be some people who don't have anyone to celebrate with. Maybe they're not able to travel to see people, and they might be feeling lonely, especially seeing maybe social media, how everyone else is having a good time. And a lot of reports are saying the holiday often leads to seasonal blues and depression. So in these types of situations, what are some tips for people who might be feeling this way, or who might know of people in this situation?
Yeah, absolutely. I think without perspective, we all tend to lose our minds a little bit with this type of stuff, especially if you have a very dwindling situation. The holidays, we tend to have these incredible expectations of what the holiday might entail. I always get this picture of when thinking about Christmas, of a log cabin. I've got my family around me. There's a wood-burning fire. None of this stuff has ever happened in my life, but that's my postcard expectation of Christmas. So you have to manage your expectations, and maybe use Thanksgiving as a warm-up or opportunity to prepare yourself for how you're going to engage the upcoming holidays. So I think there's a real opportunity to finally get the holidays right, which I think when you have a system problem, you want to fix the system when you come to the problem, not have it multiply over and over and over. And the holidays is a problem for a lot of people. They get introspective, they have vast amounts of time that's unstructured, unlike if you're working or something like that. So with that, you want to manage your mind and realize that you can use the opportunity to kind of develop a process which you're going to manage future holidays. You never have to have another bad holiday again if you've had them in the past or they've been challenging.
when people do things for other people, when people give to other people, that also can help them feel fulfilled. So even if you feel like you don't have any friends or family to connect with on Thanksgiving, but to go to a homeless shelter, a soup kitchen, and to help serve people who are in need, it will make you feel good about yourself. It will help you get out and connect with people as well. And that's a way to kind of take the focus off of yourself. Because when you're focusing on yourself and you're depressed, then it is really hard to get out of it. But when you can give to other people, then no longer are you the center of, and your sorrow kind of the center of everything, but you're actually being proactive.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Great to have you on the show.
Good to be here. Thanks. Happy Thanksgiving. See you.
My pleasure. Thank you. Take care.
And now before we end, here's some Thanksgiving trivia. There's a reason Ocean Spray cranberry sauce labels are upside down. Here's the details. The company says it puts the label on that way on purpose. So grocers and you store the cans with the side you open facing down. There's a simple reason for that. Ocean Spray says it causes the contents to settle and an air bubble to form at the top. That way, when you open it on the bottom of the label, you can slide a knife along the edge of the can on the inside to break the vacuum. Then the cranberry sauce will slide out perfectly intact to plop onto your serving dish in a single piece. Now you know, and knowing is half the battle. But what do you think? Let me know below. And a short announcement, there will be no deep dive tomorrow. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. We'll be back to our regular programming on Friday. Thanks for tuning in to Deep Dive. I'm Tiffany Meier, and see you soon.